all I can do is shake my head and say, I told y'all so. According to Eddie Hearn, he was in a scrum. They have a fight coming up, and he was talking to the media. And while he was talking to the media, Terrence Crawford came up, and he basically said that Terrence Crawford's team or representatives had reached out to him about them doing business together with him, Eddie Hearn, and with DZON, but that and then that he would like to work with them, but he doesn't think they can get the numbers that he's going to want, which pretty much means monetarily, financially. They're probably not going to be able to hit the numbers that he wants. That's number one. And number two, that they're probably not going to be able to get the fights that he wants. Most of the people that Terrence Crawford wants to fight and has been talking about fighting at 147 and 154 are all with PBC. But for whatever reason, he hasn't been in contact with them. He's supposed to have new representation. The new representation hasn't contacted PBC. And but I guess they had the time and the energy to get in contact with Eddie Hearn and speak to him. I've said it before. Like I said, when I say things, sometimes I'll say, hey, this is gonna happen. I'm hoping I'm wrong when it comes to certain situations. I'm hoping that I'm wrong, but I always say, my motto's always been, I'll never let the love of boxing blind me to reality. And when it comes to someone like Terrence Crawford, I'm going to go by your track record, and I'm going to go by the way that you move. You want to fight all these PBC fighters, and contracts over with Top Rank, you don't even check to see, hey, what can I get? Don't even negotiate, to see, hey, financially, what are you going to be able to get me? What kind of fights are you going to be able to get me? Just talking to Al Heyman, talking to PBC, seeing what they can put on the table. He just automatically re-signs with Top Rank. Signs a long-term deal for a couple of years, and decides to go in that direction. And now that deal is over, I'm gonna go by what you've been doing. So I don't believe he's gonna try to sign with PBC. I don't believe he's gonna get in contact with PBC. I don't think he wants to do any work with PBC, and I don't think the Errol Spence fight is gonna happen. I've said it before, and I hope I'm wrong, because that's one of the fights that I personally want to see. That's a fight that I'm paying for, and I'm going to watch it live. Period. I'm going. But it's a fight that I just personally don't believe is going to happen at all. When you're doing a move like that, when you're trying to sign to someone like, say, in this particular situation with the Eddie Hearn, you saw when it came to Tevin Farmer, they weren't able to do anything with PBC or Al Heyman. When it came to Demetrius Andres, you've seen he hasn't been able to get Demetrius Andres any major fights. The only person that's really got any kind of fights has been Jacobs. Jacobs got a couple of fights, and his biggest fight is just Canelo himself decided, hey, Contact, I want to fight Jacobs next. So we have to see, you sign with them, then what? You gonna fight Conor Ben? I mean, who are you gonna fight? You can't be signed to Eddie Hearn and signed to DZON in the multi-fight deal and say, oh, I want Spence. Spence is scared for me. Spence is scared of me. And the person that you're speaking to is letting you know up front, like, hey, I'm not gonna be able to get you those fights. The people that you're talking about fighting, I'm not gonna be able to, get you those people. So when a person's being upfront with you and is giving you this information, that means that you're signing with this particular person knowing that you're not going to get those fights. You're signing with this person, you're doing business with this person, knowing you're not going to get Errol Spence, knowing you're not going to get Keith Thurman, knowing if Ugas happens to win, knowing you're not going to get Ugas. All these bouts that you say that you want so bad, you're understanding that, hey, I'm not going to get these fights. And you're okay with it. That's what you're saying. You're saying, I'm okay with not getting these fights. And some people might say, oh, well, but, maybe just talking about, doing it on a fight-to-fight basis and still leaving the door open to get an Errol Spence fight. But that makes no sense either, because you've heard that other side say, hey, this guy's now, he's going to want a certain amount of money. He hasn't been promoted right. He hasn't been pushed right. He's not a draw on pay-per-view. They're saying all of these things. So if they're saying all of these things, you need to see if you can find a way, where you can alleviate that. And the DZON is not the place to alleviate that. They don't get good viewership. Like even Canelo Alvarez wasn't getting high viewerships. So if Canelo Alvarez wasn't getting high viewerships, nobody else is getting high viewerships. It even affected him. There were fights that Canelo had on PBC on the DZON that sold less fights than Gervonta Tank Davis has sold. That should tell you it right there. His highest one is Billy Joe Saunders. He does 9 million versus Billy Joe Saunders. And then it goes up to Showtime PBC, and the first body does 18 million and 800,000 pay-per-views. They couldn't get 8,000. They couldn't get 800,000 views in the freaking in the United States on the DZON. They were getting 600,000. I don't know what the hell they said, but they weren't getting no 800,000 worldwide. They were getting 1.2 million concurrent views. That means multiple devices in the same house. They're counting all that stuff. Worldwide views. And so that's where you're going to sign. Any logical person would say, hey, that's not going to alleviate the problem that we might have. You alleviate that by talking to PPC. Maybe signing a multi-fight deal. Maybe then them having you fight against, let's say, someone like a Keith Thurman next. To kind of build up that profile a little bit. And then after that, boom, then you have the big unification. But you give them time to, to do the work that ESPN, that Top Rank, refused to do. And maybe you can then get yourself into the space where you can get like the numbers and everything that you want. But to get what supposedly you want, you have to communicate with them. You have to talk to them. This whole standoff thing, thinking that you're going to keep acting like you're a bad boy and, man, now I'm feeling them dudes, F them dudes, yeah, but I want to fight all that fighters. It's not going to work. At 147, at 154, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. Even if you go to 154, you still have to deal with these people. But we'll see what moves he ends up making. Like I said before, I wouldn't be surprised if he went to Pro Bellum, signed some kind of deal, just went to Pro Bellum and just fought like in Dubai or fought in the UK or something of that nature. He's been done, I think, for his last fight was, I think, what, 2 months ago? Going on 3 months? So, I don't know. I'm not sure what he's doing, but I guess only time will tell. But for now, like, subscribe, share. I'm out.